Integrating Technology into a Curriculum by Caleb Bragg. Education. Education is crucial for everyone, and it's important no matter your age. People go back to school in adulthood. You need it at a very young age to learn the fundamentals to life. Education is inevitable, and it is very much needed. The world is constantly changing, and new things are being developed, and the way we do things are not the same way we did them 20 years ago, 100 years ago, or even 2 years ago at this point. And so that also includes education and how educators teach their students. Many families have had to stray away from traditional learning and have moved towards remote learning. And this even happened before COVID-19. However, COVID has created and forced people to turn to remote learning, and that includes technology. Schools that are teaching in person have started to use technology in the classroom daily, using it as a supplemental tool, using it to teach virtual students while they're teaching traditional students, using it to just every single day. Educational technology is meant for a supplemental tool, and that's how it mainly was created for. However, it is also now created to be utilized for remote learning and homeschooling, and that comes with its advantages and disadvantages. Digital Citizen Curriculum, and I'll also explain why I added citizenship to that title. So the author Davis wrote in 2017 an article on utopia.org about how to integrate technology into a curriculum and how to include it to create digital citizens. So how can we teach our students to safely and correctly use technology in the classroom? So they broke it down, the author Davis broke it down to two things that need to be used, and that is proactive knowledge and experimental knowledge. So with proactive knowledge, there are 9 questions that we need to ask our students, and Davis lists them as what she calls the 9 P's. And she wrote this in 2017, so I still find it to being effective today. The first one is, do you know how to create secure passwords? Do students understand why passwords are important and why they can't just be generic and basic? 2, do students know how to protect their private information? Do you know when to put in the proper information? Don't make your address and your phone number and who you are aware and easily readily to everybody. 3, who will you choose to share your information with? Should it be used outside the realm of your parents, your teachers? Do you know when to share information? 4, do you know how to protect private details from photos and what facial recognition is? So is your photo, can somebody else use it improperly? And are there personal information in your photos, like license plates or your address or your house? 5, does a student know what copyright means? Do they know what it means to steal somebody else's information? Or for somebody to steal yours? 6, do you have permission to borrow somebody else's information? And this is where giving credit when credit is due, or citing information and having a reference page comes in play. 7, do they know how online viruses work and what can cause them? 8, do they know what their online, and I put that in quote, voice is? Meaning, are they portraying an image that they want? Are they, stating the information they want to get out there? Because a lot of people also use the digital world to be an influencer. And 9, the last question that Davis discussed was, do they know how to be professional online? Like grammar matters and giving ownership to other people's information. that all comes into play. These 9 questions are very imperative, and students need to learn them. Davis also talked about experimental knowledge, and this is giving real-life scenarios and how to use them, how to use technology in the classroom, and how to use technology when you're not in the classroom. So that's why digital citizen curriculum is important, because you can't use educational technology properly if students also don't know the importance behind it all and the scary parts of it. So real-life scenarios must be implemented in order for students to truly know the meaning of the 9 questions that were being asked. And you can do this. Davis discusses a few more, but Davis discusses how you should provide them with real-life scenarios and give them a specific scenario and ask them, is this a scam or is this real? And how do you know if this information is the truth and if it's factual? They should also allow students to create online presentations and for them to be the teacher and to make sure they're citing things properly and finding information that's appropriate. And also have them work in collaborative scenarios is important too. The next website that I use, also the last part that Davis discussed, which I found very important, is Davis gave credit to Ann Collier, who is an expert, and she suggests that digital citizen should just fall under the term citizenship, because it is our duty to be professional and know how to use information online, because it's the way of the world right now. And it should be the responsibility of a person which creates a good citizen. So Anne makes a very good point, and Davis does a very good job of putting that out there, that it's important to know how to use a term, or that it falls under citizenship. So EdTech in the curriculum. Host wrote about this in 2019, and it talks about how you should embed technology in the curriculum, how it's supplemental, and how math and sciences are mostly reliant on educational technology. The 4 major components are participation. Is a student participating in the lesson? 2, are students actively using it? Are they wanting to use this technology? 3, does it create collaboration between teachers and students and peers with each other? And can students relate to it? All of this needs to be embedded in the curriculum, and it also needs to meet these 4 components and be practical. Also, Host makes a good point on why it's needed. So it gives extra materials and resources and databases to students that they don't have access to in a traditional environment. It forces students to collaborate with people all around the world, and it can definitely help those who are learning remotely. Now, Host also discusses how to use it. So a blended classroom is a virtual and traditional mixed classroom, and that's also a very big part of today's world with COVID. It can be used in a flipped classroom where the student becomes a teacher. It has also proven to have a successful impact on students when used appropriately and supplementary. And it opens doors. It allows students to see other parts of the world and have answers that they do not have access to in a traditional setting. Lastly, the last site I looked at, the author was Cox, and they wrote about this in 2019. And the environment. The environment is very important. So EdTech gives a more fun environment because it relies on innovative and new materials. It can create hands-on experiences, but also too much educational technology can take away from hands-on experiences because students are relying to use the internet solely. It helps students prepare for the future, their future jobs, and that's important because a lot of companies are using this in their workforce, and it also allows for remote learning. Traditional versus remote learning. Online learning does not outweigh traditional learning. One is not better than the other. Both are important and both are effective. And Host makes that a very good point, that one is not better for the other. However, one might be better right now because of COVID. Also, EdTech does provide traditional classrooms with more resources and tools. However, traditional learning allows face-to-face collaboration and interactions that students may not get in remote learning. So Cox makes sure to, have people realize in their post or blog that there are two different types of learning, traditional and remote, and one does not outdo the other. However, both need to be used effectively. And this is my reference page.